Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of August 23rd, 2026. The theme of this week is the heart of darkness, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. Today, August 23rd, we have a Gibbous Moon in Capricorn. This is the phase that is pregnant with possibilities. We're headed towards the full moon, which is a lunar eclipse. So you may have a sense that something that was developing or taking shape, becoming impossible to ignore. It's rising to your attention, and Capricorn wants something tangible with results, structure, and that it can be built on. The Capricorn moon is in the sign of its detriment, and people may be feeling emotionally constricted in some way. The moon is approaching a square to Venus in Libra, the planet of relationships in its home sign, but Venus is separating from an opposition to Saturn. So this feels like this energy could bring up stories of relationships, prominent couples, especially with art or culture. Beauty or diplomacy can be a theme, especially when there's been something in these topics that has been strained, gotten a reality check. So on a personal level, this could be a beautiful day to engage with art or culture, especially if there's something that has a physical or structural quality to it. Think about architecture, going to a museum or a garden. A Rodin exhibition would be the perfect thing to do during this energy. This kind of feels like this energy. Capricorn gives form, while Venus in Libra appreciates beauty and artistry. Now, Venus and Jupiter are still in a sextile, so this can bring some sweetness, pleasure, and a desire to connect with people. There could be a very dramatic story people are talking about, because yesterday the sun met the south node in Leo before entering Virgo. So something dramatic could have happened that turned the attention to health, systems, workforces, or labor. If a prominent person became ill or announced a health issue or experienced some kind of decline around that sun-south node conjunction, the south node sends things down the drain. The sun has to do with leaders, celebrities. We may be now talking about the details. Since the moon is in Capricorn, they could be related to governments or just elderly or big business leaders. If a major system went down or a company announced significant layoffs, Virgo brings attention to what happened, why it happened, and what needs to be fixed next. The bigger theme is something dramatic may have already happened, and now we're examining the practical consequences. And the Gibbous Moon suggests it's still developing. We're gathering information as we move towards more illumination at the full moon. If you're looking for a meaningful gift or a little something for yourself, I highly recommend Otter Spirit crystal bracelets. They're beautiful, high-quality pieces that I wear every day. Each bracelet comes with a card explaining the stone's intention, correlation with the zodiac and chakras, and a mantra, making them both gorgeous and educational. Use my code Celeste20 to save 20% off your order, or Celeste30 to save 30% on offers over $99. They're a wonderful way to bring a little more intention and beauty into your day. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury enters Virgo on August 25th and stays there through September 10th. The planet of communication and thought processes is at home in Virgo, so it can do what it does with ease. Thinking becomes more analytical, precise, organized, and detail-oriented in this sign. This is excellent energy for writing, editing, researching, planning, or getting systems in order. In Gary, Indiana, as I'm recording this on August 19th, people have been out of power for over a week after a storm, and it is apocalyptic. So hopefully this energy will help them get everything back together sooner than they think. Some people have been told they may be out of power until September. Before entering Virgo, Mercury goes to the 29th degree of Leo, the degree of crisis and decay, and meets the South Node, suggesting drain, loss, and disruption around communications, transportation, commerce. This could be what the Sunday shows are talking about, what happened in Gary, Indiana, and what's going to happen next. Its story is starting to get more visibility through people on social media, and hopefully it will make mainstream media news by this weekend. There is an outage quality to Mercury hitting the South Node where something goes offline, stops functioning, loses capacity, or just fails to perform like it was supposed to. And then on Thursday, August 27th at 10:03 a.m. Pacific time, Mercury goes Cazimi, where it meets the sun in Virgo. And we talk about Cazimi being going through the heart of the sun, where you get to sit at the foot of the king and ask for a favor or to get some kind of clarity. This is a great time to stop and just do a short meditation or think about something that you really need to figure out or reason through, and you may have an aha, brilliant insight moment. Something that was obscured may come into your focus. Take advantage of the fact that Mercury's in its home sign and is really strong. If you have been putting off some kind of organizational activity or decluttering project, now is the time to do it. Finish the writing project, edit the manuscript, clean out the closets or the cabinets, organize your filing system, clean up your diet, or create a more efficient routine. This is a great transit for getting your house in order, literally or figuratively. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that on August 28th, we have a lunar eclipse at 4 Pisces. This is the third and final Pisces lunar eclipse in this series. We will not have another Pisces eclipse near the North Node for 18 years. So this gives the eclipse a strong feeling of culmination. Something that has been unfolding over the past couple of years may be reaching its conclusion. Bernadette Brady has categorized the Saros series of this time. It's related to the solar eclipse in Leo as worries clearing. So some kind of ogre, like if you have a boss that's just a monster, maybe they get another job. That could be you come into work and find out, ding dong, Barry is going off to another company, and it's like celebrate, party, have a good time. We also had eclipses at 4 Pisces in August of 1988 and August of 2007. So the same degree. So your chart was activated by the eclipse in the same way. Now, the other planets around it were different. So your life may not repeat the story from late August back then, but something may rhyme. Pisces is a mutable water sign. It's emotional, intuitive, compassionate, spiritual, and deeply receptive. Water signs are considered mute. So there's something about this eclipse that asks us to quiet the noise, retreat, meditate, listen to beautiful music, make art. Pisces is very creative. Pay attention to your dreams. Write down things that you dream about right away when you wake up. Some people have been having unusually vivid dreams. Mystical experiences are also in line with this Pisces eclipse. Pay attention. Signs and signals are available for us if we look up and just take some time to notice and quiet the noise. You could have heightened intuition. This is a great time to do an oracle or tarot spread. And you can feel like you're receiving messages from beyond the rational mind. Now, Pisces also rules masks, illusion, confusion, escapism, and what is difficult to see clearly. With this eclipse, masks are coming off. People that people had idealized, they're being shown for who they really are, which is human and sometimes deeply, deeply flawed. And something hidden could be revealed, or you may suddenly see through an illusion you've been carrying. Now, people may be extra spacey and distracted, so do what you can to stay grounded over the next week. Drive carefully, double-check details, and be especially mindful around medications, intoxicants, gas, and other substances, because there is going to be news of overdoses or DUIs or accidental explosions. So really pay attention. The eclipse is conjunct Fomalhaut, one of the royal fixed stars of Persia. It has long been associated with vision, idealism, imagination, spirituality, and artistic gifts. There is tremendous creative potential, but your vision needs integrity. I've called this eclipse, when I presented it for Kepler last year, magnum opus. Someone may create the work of art they are remembered for. Inspiration can arrive seemingly out of nowhere, and what comes through could feel bigger than the person creating it. The potential for breakthrough thinking is amplified by Mercury in Virgo, square Uranus in Gemini, startling discoveries, reversals, and technological breakthroughs are possible. Keep a notebook or your phone nearby, and if a strange idea just drops into your head, document it before you forget it, because it might be something worth pursuing. Now, this eclipse is not gentle. Mars in Cancer is approaching a square to Saturn in Aries. The two malefics are talking, and they're both in the signs of their fall. Frustration can escalate quickly into conflict. With Mars and Cancer, fighting over who belongs in the tribe and who doesn't can be a big theme. Nationalism, identity, borders, and extreme expressions of patriotism are likely to become part of the collective story. In Dearborn, Michigan, there is this right-wing guy who's having some kind of anti-Muslim activities, and it is an intense situation that could be potentially explosive. With the wars involving both Iran and Ukraine, watch for oil, gas, waterways, weather, and other Piscean themes closely. Pay attention to the weather. For your own life, think about where for Pisces, which is where the moon is, and for Virgo, where the sun is, are in your chart. What houses contain this axis? At its most beautiful level, it can be grounded spirituality. The sun in Virgo and the moon in Pisces illuminate the tension between order and surrender, analysis and intuition, the practical versus the mystical. Virgo rules the intestines, Pisces rules the feet. And the eclipse does not mean something necessarily manifests directly to you. If it falls across your 3rd and 9th houses, your story could involve a sibling, education, travel, Think about the houses and the people and topics they represent. The sun is shining a light in your Virgo house, and the emotional release is in your Pisces house. Something is becoming illuminated to you about this axis. Pay attention to what is revealed. You can watch on the Astrology by Celeste YouTube channel, the Virgo season forecast, to get more details about what it may mean for you based on your rising and sun sign. But be aware that something may be completing, coming to a closure, a mask may fall away, a dream may become clearer, and for some people, this eclipse could provide the inspiration for their magnum opus. If we look back to the moon phase family, these 27-month cycles where the sun and the moon illuminate progress every 9 months, and when your chart is really activated, there can be a story that carries on through and has pivot points every 9 months. So the sun and the moon were both at 9 degrees of Pisces on February 27th, 2025. What was starting in your life at that time? Look at the Pisces house in your chart. What themes arose? The first quarter moon of this cycle, the sun in Sagittarius and the moon in Pisces, both at 6 degrees of the respective signs on November 27th, 2025. So say you got an idea that you wanted to go see a temple in Vietnam. It could be at this first quarter moon where the sun's in Sag. You were on the plane going there. At the lunar eclipse, the full exposure with the sun in Virgo and the moon in Pisces, both at 4 degrees on August 27th, 2026, you could simply be looking at the pictures, remembering the food you ate, going through and sorting and categorizing things in a folder about this experience. The last quarter moon, where the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Pisces, both at 7 degrees, is May 28th of 2027. This could be you got to get back there or go to a different temple and you're taking your sibling with you on this time. That could be how they show up. The theme of the week is the heart of darkness, and it comes from Joseph Conrad's novel that follows the sailor Marlowe as he travels by steamer deep into the Congo in search of Kurtz, an ivory trader working for a European company. What begins under the banner of commerce and civilization is gradually exposed as exploitation, conquest, greed, and brutality. Kurtz has essentially appointed himself ruler, taking resources from a land that isn't his and exercising power over the people who live there. One of the central questions of the story becomes who is actually civilized and who is the savage. This feels aligned with the astrology this week. We have a lunar eclipse in Pisces, and you can often think about water signs representing different bodies of water. Cancer's the lake, Scorpio's the deep ocean, and Pisces is the river or the strait. In Heart of Darkness, Marlowe literally travels upriver, moving deeper and deeper into territory where the veneer of civilization begins to fall away. And think about what's going on in Greenland. An American company, Greenland Energy, moved equipment there as it prepares for oil exploration without having received the necessary government approval. Greenland's government has issued a strong warning, and the project has since been forced to delay its plans, but it's very concerning that they thought they were just going to go and take without approval. At the same time, the president's amping up its rhetoric about the Strait of Hormuz that carries a similar sense of entitlement. He said something about the United States is going to declare this strait territory and that the United States has the right to determine who controls it and how it operates. It was a free waterway before he decided to start this war. These stories bring us right back into the heart of darkness. Who believes they have the right to enter someone else's territory, control its resources, command its waterways, and decide what happens there? And the actions that are taken by the people who declare themselves civilized. With the Pisces lunar eclipse, water is part of the symbolism, the river, the sea lanes, oil moving through the Strait of Hormuz, the threats to desalination plants, Greenland's resources. With Mars in Cancer square Saturn and Aries, questions of territory, borders, sovereignty, acquisition, and defense are becoming increasingly combustible. Conrad's story asks us to examine, when the masks come off, who is the real savage. I'm so excited to share my new celestial reference guide. This is something that has been formulating in my psyche for years. It's designed to help you follow the moon as she moves through the zodiac and connects with the other planets, so you can begin to understand how the signs, planets, houses, and aspects work together in real time. It's about moving from memorization to interpretation and having those wonderful aha moments when you actually see the astrology happening. It's also a perfect companion to this podcast. Learn astrology by living it. Get your celestial reference guide now at astrologybyceleste.com. The link is in the show notes. On Sunday, the word of the day is obsolete. The moon in Capricorn first opposes Mars in Cancer at 7 degrees and then squares Saturn retrograde at 14 degrees. So this time, which is about 14 hours, can be tense because the moon is what we call besieged between Mars and Saturn, and that is about people. Think about the 3,000 people who lost their jobs from a Tyson plant, just came into work and were let go totally unexpectedly. Think about what kind of emotional reaction you would have. The Gibbous Moon is at 16 Capricorn, pregnant with possibilities at 10:21 p.m. The energy is growing. Emotions may be very suppressed, but ready to explode. And the Capricorn Moon squares Venus and Libra at 14 degrees. So people's frustrations may come out at their loved ones. So just be mindful that this is the energy people can be experiencing, but we may be hearing about an old structure, authority, institution, leader, or system that's no longer fit for purpose, that is obsolete, that's reached its limits of usefulness. On Monday, the word of the day is bravado. Mercury at 29 Leo is sesquisquare Saturn in Aries. So I get with this, with Mercury at the last degree of the sign, holding all the energy, trying to express it in a state of crisis and decay before it moves into the next sign. And with the Saturnian influence, this is all confidence, bravado. It's not really backed up by anything, but it's somebody talking a big game about how great they are. On Tuesday, the word of the day is cowardly. The Aquarius Moon begins at 2:01 a.m. Pacific time. Aquarius is fixed air. Air is concerned with people, information, networks for Aquarius. It can be groups or communities. Aquarius could be the crowd. And then Mercury is conjunct the South Node in Leo. So I got the image of like a loud noise, like a firecracker going off, and Mr. Bravado, who's talking about how tough and great and special he is, dives under a desk in fear. And you see the Wizard of Oz behind the mask. And the Aquarius Moon squares Chiron in Taurus. This is a good day to be really mindful when you are in crowds. Mercury conjunct the South Node in Leo could also be someone who is themselves just very explosive. And then Mercury moves into Virgo at 4:03 a.m. Pacific time. And maybe someone can use logic to reason with them, or maybe not, or they get really critical and start giving their list of demands of what they want. The Aquarius Moon is conjunct Pluto retrograde at 3 degrees. So the people, the crowd, may feel under pressure, be in a power struggle. This could also be a group of people being told something by their leader that is going away, and they're getting very upset. They're hearing about the vision, Leo, and then they have a lot of questions or criticism or complaints when Mercury goes into Virgo. And Mercury in Virgo is trine Chiron retrograde at 0 degrees of Taurus. So they're learning something about resources, values, health, systems, these sorts of things. So this is a pretty intense day. Wednesday's word of the day is excise. The Aquarius Moon opposes Jupiter in Leo, both at 12 degrees. And the Sun in Virgo and then Mercury are the tip of a yod, which is called the finger of God, with Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Aries at the base. Everything is at 3 degrees in this energetic triangle in the sky. There's themes of you've been pointed at. And with the Sun and Mercury in Virgo, there can be themes of purging, segregation, ostracism, classification, deciding what belongs and what doesn't. I got the image of Lucy in the factory. She's supposed to be sorting the chocolates properly, but then she just starts picking them up and putting them in her mouth because things get out of control with the assembly line. And with the Aquarius Moon opposite Jupiter and Leo, that puts the group versus the individual, or the collective versus the privileged central figure. There's tension, oppositions. They're as far apart as they can be. And Jupiter exaggerates the Leo side, the ego, the status, the belief that someone deserves special treatment. It could be because of their money, their race, their whatever. And that Aquarius energy kind of decides who has power in the group, and it can be distancing or detaching someone from the group. On Thursday, the word of the day is breathe. Mercury Cazimi at 4 Virgo is at 10:03 a.m. Pacific time. There are themes of death and rebirth with this energy. If you have asthma, make sure you have your inhaler on this day. Mercury rules the lungs is why I say that, and Virgo is a health sign. There can be clarity about something. You can ask the authority for a favor, and it's supposed to be granted when Mercury is Cazimi. I'll be shocked if someone prominent doesn't announce something about health, or we hear about someone prominent passing away, because this is eclipse day. The moon is conjunct the North Node in Aquarius, so we'd be focused on an Aquarian type person or theme that rules a charity or is a leader over an important group. Maybe we find out what's going on with Mitch McConnell at this time. And the Pisces moon begins at 12:03 p.m. Pacific time. There may become a hush over, like, if people were chatting with the moon conjunct the North Node in Aquarius. Now people suddenly go silent as the moon goes into Pisces. And we have the lunar eclipse at 9:18 p.m. It's conjunct Fomalhaut, the fixed star. It's at 4 Pisces. There's also themes of swans. The eclipse is conjunct a fixed star Adige, Deneb Adige, which is the swan. People may be having mystical experiences on this day. So hopefully it's all good for you, but the moon will oppose Mercury in Virgo and then square Uranus. People are being awakened to something. Light is being shed on deception. Something is being revealed. A mask is coming off. Lightning strike energy. Eureka! I now know what I want to do. This can be a moment of clarity after mental noise. It's a great day to pay attention to what you're doing in the moment and avoid distraction. On Friday, the word of the day is diagnosis. On this day, Mercury in Virgo will square Uranus and Gemini, both at 5 degrees, and the Sun in Virgo will square Uranus and Gemini at 5 degrees. So this could be someone's at the doctor and they find out what's wrong with their health, or they get the clean bill of health. That Mars square Saturn could also symbolize the end of the struggle. You could be at the mechanic and find out what is wrong with your car, or your child gets tested and you find out what their diagnosis is. Mercury has associations with children as well as cars and pets. On Saturday, the word of the day is survival. The Aries moon begins at 7:37 p.m. Pacific time. If there is a big storm story with the lunar eclipse in Pisces, you may be deciding you need to get an emergency kit. If you do not have one, I really suggest you get emergency kits for the car as well as the home. Do you have water in your car? Just in case something happens and you're stuck and you can't get home. What is going on all over the world? We're seeing climate change escalating, massive storms, and people being stuck without the ability to get resources from the government quickly. One of the themes of Aries, which is a fire sign, something new is starting. It's initiating cardinal energy. You may just be feeling like your golf game or your tennis match is a fight for survival. Aries is competitive. This can be people in a store trying to grab everything. This is why, if you can and can prepare so that you're not caught up in one of these emergency things where you go to the store and you can't get what you need. So having some basics is at home. I've been saying this for years, but seeing what's happening in Gary, Indiana really is bringing it into focus about how important this is. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.